from watching your shoot interview that you did back in 2007 that you were having some health issues due to, I believe it was shellfish that you had in Japan.
Right.
Is that why you kind of phased yourself away from the Demolition character and ultimately ended up leaving WWE?
Well, no, there were some promises made that weren't kept, and I was supposed to take another position. Didn't feel comfortable with the one that they offered me, and I had a chance to go back to Japan. I think that most of the fans realize or know that I was also the Masked Superstar.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
I had a long-standing contract to go over there anytime I wanted to, so I felt that rather than just sit on a shelf or wait for a position, I'd take advantage of going back and made some tours overseas in Europe and Japan, and just wanted to start fresh.
Absolutely, and that you did. And I wanted to ask you, I was watching some old tapes, and I remember watching something, I believe it was with the UWF, when you were with Blast. And I wanted to ask you, was that actually the UWF? Because I can't seem to locate my tape of it, and I'm trying to find it, because I was doing some research for the interview, and I couldn't find your appearances with the UWF.
I'm not sure what federation it was, to be honest with you. I've worked with so many. It could have been AYZ, I don't know, but I remember teaming up with him for a short period of time.
Absolutely.
It was basically to help him out. He was a local guy there in the Manhattan area, Brooklyn area, and I was doing a favor for promoter Tommy D.
Oh.
It just didn't work out. Although he was a real nice guy, one of the things that I suggested and emphasized that he work out, lose some weight, hone his skills, and I think that he thought maybe just by teaming with me it would, through osmosis he'd get popular, and it didn't. So it was a short-lived period of time.
Now, in a Q&A session you did back at, I believe it was the NWA Legends Fest, I think it was 2006 you did it, you had mentioned that you weren't sure if we would ever see Demolition get back together. And
right.
Shortly thereafter, it ended up happening. How did it end up coming to be?
Well, we've been asked for years and years and years to get back together. And, Barry and I had some differences. It wasn't monumental, but we had some differences. And then we got back into communication. And it's just like a situation. He and I were together on the road 24 hours a day for so many years. You're going to have squabbles. But we both felt it was beneficial for us to take advantage of the popularity and the promoters and the bookers wanting to use us and not throw some money down the drain. So we just decided that, we'd take the first step, and then the first step leads to the next, and here we are. And we've been doing quite a few appearances lately.
And that's really what people are looking for. People are nostalgic for that old-time feel of the wrestling business, and I think that's evident by the action figures and such, which you guys got as well a few years ago with WWE as well. Were you glad to get that position with WWE to where they are releasing figures? Because a lot of guys who have a problem with them, they tend to try to diminish their reputation a little bit. And,
well, I think it's beneficial to both sides. Vince is a pretty good businessman, and I think that there's an old saying, you'll do in business sometimes what you might not enjoy if it's going to benefit you. And I think that he realizes, we're still popular, and my deal went through my attorney, so I wanted to make sure that everything was cleared, but I think that it's benefited, him as well as us.
Absolutely. I would absolutely agree with that. Two more questions.
Now, another way, I've got one quick one, another way that the WWE has tried to capitalize on fans' love of past superstars has been the Hall of Fame that they do every year. Have they ever contacted you and Barry about possibly doing joint entry as Demolition to the Hall of Fame?
Oh, well, we've been asked that question, I'm telling you, at least 1,000 times, if not more, by the fans. And we have no control over that. I mean, it would be a nice footnote, but both he and I realize, we're successful, we were successful, and we had a good career. If we're fortunate enough to get in the Hall of Fame, that's nice, but, neither one of us are going to lose sleep if we don't, because we feel comfortable that the fans appreciated us. You know, it's nice to be recognized, but it's not a do or die situation.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. I got to ask you this one to let you go with. One of the funniest parts of our interview with Barry had to do with Andre the Giant stories, and everybody's got one. Do you have one that you'd be willing to share with us about the legendary Andre the Giant?
There's so many stories that, Andre was a prankster. He enjoyed life. Unfortunately, he died too young. He was the godfather to my daughter, so we were around him quite a bit. Most of his stories are about him drinking, and you had to be there to realize how much he could drink. One time we were in Japan, and he was drinking a little bit even more than Andre normally drinks, and pinned about 5 Japanese guys in an elevator, and they never got out till he finally got out. So
yeah, Barry.
He went up and down the Kyo Plaza elevator about 10 times, and 5 or 6 little Japanese guys pinned against the wall behind him. You couldn't even see him.
Oh, man. Barry told us about the time. It was also in Japan where he got so drunk you guys had to carry him up the stairs because the bars are downstairs in Japan.
That was at a German restaurant, yes.
Yeah, and he said that they put him in the cab, and his head went out one side of the cab and his feet out the other. Trying to get him in there.
He used to have to sneak behind the pillars and hide behind the pillars of the hotels because the cabs would stop, they'd see him, and they'd take off and not pick him up.
Oh, man.
So he'd have to sort of hijack a cab. Of course, he fit in the front seat and the back seat. So.
Oh, man. Well, I got to ask you this to let it go. Now that the smoke is cleared with everything that went on between you and WWE, and we won't get into it because I promised you we wouldn't, how do you feel about going forward, and how are you feeling? Are you pretty comfortable looking back at your career and where you headed?
Oh, yeah. I feel very fortunate. I got an opportunity. I keep telling people that I got an opportunity to travel the world, go places, see things, and do things that people actually pay to go, and we got paid to do it. I was real comfortable with my career. I wouldn't second-guess anything I did. I had a good life. It provided a good opportunity for my family. I've got a good family, and I look around, sit in my home, and I say, well, wrestling has been very, very good to me.
All righty, sir. Well, it's an honor to have you on, and anytime you're willing to come back on, we'd love to have you. But, of course, we're going to be seeing you up on September the 24th, as we set up for you at TOW's event, and you should be getting the deposit for that very shortly.
Well, very good, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you helping us out.